Welcome to Complex Combo with your girl, Sonia B. That's me. And I have a guest today, PT in the house.
Hey y'all.
And it is so fitting because we have a topic that requires a friend because we're going to be talking about friends. But before I get into that, if you are new to my YouTube channel, please click subscribe below, like it, put a comment, let us know what you think. And for those of you who have already subscribed to my channel, I thank you for coming back and seeing what we're talking about. And we'll get into it now. So I posted a question on Instagram and Facebook, and I asked my followers to tell me what they thought. How do you define a healthy friendship? And I thought it would be fitting to have a friend, have this conversation, so we could talk about how we define a healthy friendship. You know, we as friends, you know, you have a tendency to watch people that you love, you care about. They go through all types of things. It could be, you know, they go through misunderstandings, they go through heartbreaks, they go through letdowns or fears. And a true friend is gonna be right there with you during those times. But what really is that good friend? You know, everyone we call friend isn't really necessarily a friend when you think about it, right? So I can tell you myself that hands down, you know, some of the most difficult times and heartbreaking things that I've had to deal with and subsequently overcame are because I had someone, I had somebody that was there. They were truly present and they listened to me and let me express my feelings. So what we're going to do is get into some of the comments that we received. We didn't receive a whole lot of comments, but the ones that we did, we want to talk about them. And then we'll talk about what we think a healthy friendship is, define a healthy friendship. So one of the first ones that we got as a response is a healthy friendship is a friend that supports anything that you do, whether it is, you know, your goals, as you start a new business, even when you make mistakes. And this person also said that a friend is somebody that you don't need to talk to or see all the time. What do you think about that, PT?
Yeah, I can agree with the majority of that for sure. We do, I think as friends, we support each other in mistakes and, you know, when we doing some BS, sometimes we on the same page with that too. And, you know, I do think to a degree, yes, that is all true. And, you know, you don't have to talk to them every day. You can go for long periods of time. But the funny thing is, when you do talk to them, it's like you just pick up right where you left off, like you didn't miss no time.
Right.
That I see what they mean by that. Yes.
That's a good friend. And I know a couple of people that I haven't seen in years.
Yep.
That I could text or call right now. And it's like, girl, what you doing? You know, how are the kids? Now the kids are old, you know, but it's like you've never skipped a beat.
Right.
Another response that we got is that a real friendship are friends that understand each other. Now, we probably have different opinions of that, but you know, I don't think that you always understand your friend.
Well, you understand, and then the things that you don't understand, you have an understanding about, and you like, we don't understand that from each other, but it's cool because we get it. So it is an understanding. It's just a little bit different.
It's a different
understanding, but it is understanding. You know, it's like a fancy way of saying we agree to disagree.
That is true. That is true.
And we don't have, you know, no harm, no foul. We don't hold no grudges about it. We just like, well, we didn't see eye to eye on that one, but that's cool. I know what's up. We still good.
You love them anyway. Love them anyway. Which leads to the next comment, which was that the definition of a healthy friendship is one that has open communication, effective listening, and forgiving each other of their mistakes. I agree with this one.
I absolutely agree with that too. I do.
I think that communication, the open communication and effective listening go hand in hand, because you can communicate all day long, but if you're really not listening, there is no understanding. And real friends can communicate with each other, and sometimes you just, hey, I just need to bounce something off of you. I don't need you to fix it, but can you just let me vent?
Yeah.
So you got to be able to listen. And then sometimes you do something that may rub your friend the wrong way. So you got to be able to forgive.
That's very true. And I think every healthy friendship, there's a level of truth and honesty that happens that causes all of those other things.
Right.
That you have to have in place. If you don't have the communication, if you don't have the listening skills, if you don't trust and things like that, then it's going to be a challenge when you really need that friend to be there for you, because you're like, well, I can't say this and I don't want to hurt their feelings and say that. And, but if you have that understanding, you have that foundation, and to the comment earlier about over long periods of time and, things like that, after a while, you kind of have worked through so many issues between you that fewer and fewer things seem to phase you.
True.
So it's almost like that's what she do. But you don't even, it's not a thing. That's not a thing. You just kind of go over that because you've dealt with that. You've been there, done that, overcome that, moved on to another level since then. And I think that's part of the reason why a healthy friendship can stand the test of time. Because you can do that. You can have those conversations and be vulnerable and listen to each other without judgment.
Exactly. Which is one of the other things was in that communication, being able to communicate without fear of retaliation or disrespect. Because if you understand that person, that male, that female, you know your friend, their flaws, they know your flaws, and they're not going to disrespect you. If you come to them and say, I need you to listen to me about XYZ, or bouncing stuff off of each other, that level of respect is there. And they know you're not going to go. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not purposefully done, that you're not coming for them. If you happen to offend or disrespect, that's a whole nother conversation that needs to be had, because it could be that you just didn't know that your honesty at that moment was going to rub them the wrong way.
And I'm glad that you said that, because I think all of these things, these comments that individuals posted are true about a healthy friendship. But for some reason lately, I've been thinking about, just relationships that you have with different people, the friendships that you have with different people. What is it that you require of your friends? And it is so important for me that I have a healthy, I'll call it a holding space. I need to be able to go to that person with my most vulnerable, most heartbreaking, whatever it is, and just break down and have a good snot cry. I need to have that holding space with that friend. And that's why I said in the beginning, everybody that we call friends aren't necessarily friends, because when you think about this list of things, there may be one or two people in your friend circle that you can't go to. There are people that you can go to. You can get them to ride on the party bus with you to the party, but that's not everybody can do that. Everybody can get in the limo and get dressed up and be fancy and go to the club. But I need that friend that when we partied all night in that club and I probably drank too much, and that light comes on when they say last call for alcohol, and we both look a mess and don't know how we go get out the door. I need that friend.
You have done that, right?
And we're still here. And we are still here.
Live and learn. Hey,
that's because you had that friend that was safe to get you out of that club back to the car. But somebody in that friend circle actually left before the light came on and was like, peace.
It was like,
call me tomorrow.
This gonna end.
Always gotta have one of those. That's my requirement.
Not a circle without it.
You know, but PT, what's your requirement? What's your requirement in your friendship?
I'm super guarded, and I don't like to share. So so it's difficult sometimes for me. But if I open up to a person, then that's more like, okay, I'm putting it out there. I need to be able to feel safe and be able to trust and have that foundation so that I can be vulnerable and I can open up at that time. One of the things that I am, I'll say it's guarded, but I'll call it boundaries. So as I go from level to level, I self-impose boundaries around how I move, because you do have a fear of, those negative aspects, because you are sometimes delving into a part of the friendship that maybe is new, fresh ground. You don't know how it's going to go yet. So you do tend to tread lightly. That's me. So I need somebody who's going to be patient and understand that I need some time and a good memory so we could circle back to it. Now circle back.
Elephant.
Yeah. And no matter how crazy it is or whatever it sounds like, just okay, well, let's go, let's talk about that a little bit. Let's see what you mean. I might need some translation in there, a thesaurus.
I'm an interpreter.
Yeah, so I may need those things as well. So the communication skills have to really be on, because there's going to be some things that I might say or I might understand at a particular point. My perspective might be off, or it could just be super different. And I don't want to say you're wrong. So I kind of hope you don't say I'm wrong. Let's just talk about it.
Right.
But that's pretty much, patience is super important to me.
See, the combination, I tell you. So, it's interesting as you who are listening, think about your friendships, think about the things that we talked about. Do you have that solid friend circle? Not everybody in the circle is going to have every single one of these qualities, but you got to have, your resident psychologist. You gotta have your resident astrologist.
Need that.
Right? And somebody that is very strong in human relationships, that has a lot of patience.
Conflict resolution.
Gotta have it. Gotta have it. I think healthy friendships, the whole point of this is that healthy friendships are necessary, whether it's male, female, friendships. It requires each one of these people to be able to provide that holding space that I was talking about. You saw how she did her eyes. I'm just talking strictly friends. Some of us have female, best friends. Some of us have male best friends. Whatever the situation is, that's what I'm talking about. Just friendships.
That's it.
Just friendships. So, hey, it takes some emotionally strong people to hold some friendships together. She said that her friend, you got to have patience. You got to have patience.
You have to, because it is, and the other thing too, is if you have a friend over a long period of time, you're going to have a shift in thinking too, because as you get older,
right?
The longer you live, the more you learn, the more wisdom you gain along the way. So your needs, your communication styles, all of those things start to have a variety. It starts to shift a little bit. It goes, you know, where it might require a little bit more time, or somebody is now short tempered in an area on a particular topic where before they weren't, because now they've experienced some things and they feel a kind of way. So you kind of got, as you getting older, you got some things, that you have
Gotta
to
move
deal with.
differently. You do.
You do. Like the things that I do now are absolutely not the things that I would have done 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
30 years ago.
Maybe 10 years ago, I discovered that communication tool. And
True.
I've now honed that skill. Whereas 20 years or 25 years ago, I had no clue about that. I just was living life. And thankfully I kept a friend along the way because it was stuff going on. You just
Right.
You just don't know. You see how the trees shake out. So that's all I'm saying.
You got them strong leaves that stay on there for a lifetime, and you got those leaves
From an
that come
acorn
winter.
to a mighty oak.
Boy, all the seasons in between, you didn't shook some loose because something wasn't right.
That's true.
So hopefully those of you who listen, you got some strong friendships. Again, I'm telling you, you need the psychologist, the astrologist. What else we need?
Conflict resolution.
There we go.
You need the driver.
Right.
You got to have a driver.
No matter how crazy they drive.
Because if you can't get home, the
They can get you there.
driver handles all of that.
So the driver got to be your rider that's there when, like I said in the club, when that last call for alcohol and them lights come on, and you don't know how you gonna walk from that bar stool to that front door.
Can't walk. Okay.
Somebody got to have some strong arms and legs.
Or you need two people. I mean,
you don't have that in your circle, I'm just saying. But if you are fortunate enough to have a fraction of what we just listed, you are blessed.
And just keep the communication open. My advice or recommendation to keep it healthy is if it's something you don't understand about what they said or what they do, ask questions, start a conversation about it, to information seek.
Right.
What do you mean by that?
Right.
Don't knock it, because then it makes that person feel like, oh, I can't really talk to them.
Gotta be that holding space. Gotta be that holding space. I have a tendency, and I know we keep trying to wrap this up, but I have a tendency in my friendships, if I feel like I'm not being heard, I used to shut down immediately. They don't hear me, I'm no longer going to talk to that person, and then I slowly remove myself from that person's life. But as you said, the older you get, you learn to communicate. So I need to communicate to people, hey, I didn't like when you said this. When you made this statement or comment, it made me feel this type of way. Let's talk about why that is so we can avoid that. I don't want you to stop talking to me, and I don't want to stop talking to my friend if it's really my friend. So that communication is important. Growing as your friendship grows, if your friendship matures past 5, 10, 15, 20 years, your communication is going to change. The way, you guys will understand each other without having to say a word.
Oh, that's crazy. Yeah.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy, because it's almost like you could just look, and then next thing you know, everybody's like,
and we already know.
And that's it. We all done.
Yeah. And everybody else is looking like, what happened? But hey, if you're not fortunate enough to have that in your life, you need to change your circle of friends. For real.
Or just develop it. if you have to change it, what is it about it that needs to change?
Right.
You know, a change don't necessarily mean to, get rid of somebody or cut them off. It could
Right.
just be that, you have to take the steps to change the way the relationship is. So, I always say stupid stuff like don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Would she be the
And
main one throwing the baby? Okay.
I am just saying, you wouldn't know if you hadn't gone through it, right? So you have to
Throw the baby out first with the bathwater,
gotta
and the next
understand,
tub you get.
you just threw out a few babies and you're like, oh my God, I shouldn't have did that. I'm gonna go get my baby out that water. I threw the bath water out, but I meant to keep the baby. But whatever the case may be, you want to try to figure out, and this is something I think that is more applicable as you get older,
Right.
because then you have the discernment to say, this person has value in my life in this way, not to use them, but as far as a friend, the things that you look for in a friend, and they just made a mistake, or maybe they misunderstood the situation and they didn't fully get it. So it might be time for us to have a different kind of conversation so we could shift our interactions, or we
Right.
can, bond on a different level and then continue to grow in a different way, or whatever the case might be. But if it's toxic or negative and it's one of those things that's hurtful and you can't find a way to make it better without making it super bad, and where it's hurt, where it gets to be very hurtful. Revenge gets petty, vindictive, vengeful, it's tit for tat all over the place. If you
Right.
can't do it without that, then it might be time to say, okay, that really, I do need to move on from that kind of relationship, especially if it's some dangerous activities or behaviors that are going on in there that you can hurt yourself or others. So I'm not saying don't cut them off in every situation, but just be considerate, as you move, because people change as they get older, and you might see that person 5 years, 10 years down the line, and they're a whole new person, and they might hit you with an apology for the way that things went back then, and they wish you wouldn't have done that, and had I known then what I know now situation. So that's
Or
happened
not.
too.
Yes.
That's happened.
It's happened for you.
I mean,
So
it's happened
somebody.
to lots of us.
For those of you who have had that happen, that is wonderful. That is growth.
Yeah. I mean, I can't recall right now,
Right now. Okay.
not this moment.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
I had someone apologize, but then the behavior repeated itself. And so when it repeated itself the second time, when they came back around the third time, I was very cautious. We had a conversation because some growth had happened, some years had passed. We set boundaries. We said these are the things that are acceptable or not, but the behavior repeated itself again after the third time. We just gotta cut it off. I love to cut it off.
Mhm.
But anyway, that was not growth. A little bit. A little bit.
Well, maybe not on their part, but definitely on your part,
Yeah.
because part of it is recognizing those unhealthy or toxic behaviors or characteristics that have negative effects on you. And if it's constantly being disrespectful, constantly being, negative or mean spirited and malignant in that way, then it's time to say, you know what, I don't, it's when I see you, and just keep it moving.
Right. Block everywhere. I'm just saying, that's just me. I saw something today that said, you can post a picture on social media and you'll get maybe, 20 likes. But if you look at how many views you got 15 times the amount of views, because those friends, those people that you cut off, but you didn't block them, they're always watching. They don't like, but they are always watching. So
Good
I just
point.
cut off all access.
Good
Cut off
point.
all
I never
access.
even thought about that. Never thought about
I
it.
was reading. That's what I read today. I learned that today.
Okay. See, live and you learn. I learned it right now.
You did.
Just
You
right
learned.
now.
You learned the importance of blocking.
Didn't even know.
See, because if you block them, they can't watch. Just saying. Well, thank you guys for joining us here for another lovely topic on Complex Combo with your girl, Sonia B and PT. Until next time, leave your comments below, like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.